Hey, what's up guys, Chris here, and in this video, let's talk about how we get that bread. And of course, I'm talking about Visiore, because Final Fantasy Tactics is right around the corner and you might be looking at your Visiore stash and not feeling too good about where you're at. But don't worry, that's what this video is for. We're going to look under the couch cushions and behind the dresser and see if we can't come up with an extra 10,000 Visiore to spend. If you guys like the video, you know how to show your appreciation by now, so buckle up and strap in for your flight on the USS Visiore. Alright, let's fire up the Visiorometer, and the first place we're going to look is in the Farplane, and we're going to go to the Beast's Den. Now chances are a lot of you probably haven't done all of the missions in here. You've probably only done the missions for the Espers that you've maxed out that you needed to awaken from 1-star to 2-star. So there's a ton of different missions in here, basically for every different unique Esper. So you can go in here and you can complete these missions even if you don't have the Esper. So for example, the Diablos battle is new and you can come in here and you can do the Diablos battle even if you don't have the Diablos Esper or Vision card, and you can get the 50 Visiore for each of these missions. So overall there's 14 Esper missions and you can get 50 Visiore for each one, so that total is going to be 700. The second place we're going to look is in the day training here in the Farplane, and this is going to include the experience chamber, the guild chamber, the ore chamber, the growth egg chamber, the pot chamber, and these new training chambers. And these are the enhancer missions, and there's 23 of these in total. Chances are you've probably done some of these. There's 23 total. I'm going to completely take the guild chamber out because pretty much everybody has done at least the guild chamber. So that leaves us with 20 missions with 50 Visiore apiece, and that's another 1,000 to get. If we scroll down, now we have the awakening missions, and you'll look at these Alchrist chambers and there's 5 levels on each Alchrist chamber. Now look, you can see I've already done 5 of these and you've probably done a couple of these as well. But again, chances are you haven't done all of these missions. There's 8 different elements, there's 5 at each element, which is 40 total missions for a total possible of 2,000 Visiore. If we scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll also see the Esper Awakening Chambers, and you probably haven't done these at all, like I haven't done these at all either, and there's another 50 Visiore to be had for each element, so that's another 8 missions for each Esper type, which leaves us with another 400 Visiore. To tack onto this, your multi-missions also count as 50 Visiore for your first time completions, but under Alchrist Chambers there's only 3 levels instead of 5, and then you also have the Esper Awakening Chambers all the way down here at the bottom, which pretty much nobody ever runs multi, but you should be able to solo pretty much all of these Elemental and Esper Chambers. So under the Elemental Chambers we have another 24 missions, that's 50 Visiore apiece and 1,200. And for the Espers, we have 8 of these at 50 apiece, which is another 400. Another place we're going to look for Visiore is going to be these sub-quests that are under the story. And you probably haven't looked under the Glacial Lands where there's a couple new ones. So you'll see like under Wizette Castle, they launched 2 new quests, which you see I haven't done here. So there's a lot of these sub-quests, and if you haven't done all of these, they're worth 100 Visiore apiece, and they're usually really easy to do. And for the purposes of our counter, we'll just assume that you have about 5 of these that you haven't done, so we'll call it maybe 500 extra Visiore you can find here. Some players might have done these missions already, and most players probably haven't done all of these, so there's some extra Visiore to be found there as well. Finally, let's talk about units, and let's talk about a place where we can get a lot of extra Visiore, and that's going to be the hard quests for units. So you've probably, like pretty much everybody in the game, been farming your 10 hard quests on the same units, just like I recommend, and on the same ultra rare units. So I've been running Frederica, Yerma, Miranda, Medina, and Victoria. But if you really want to collect some extra Visiore, you can basically go down to like your MR or your SR units, and these ones have shard quests as well. So if I go to like Helena here, I can go into her shard quest, and I mean, you probably haven't done the shard quests for most of these characters that are MR and SR characters. So every one of these characters that are down here, you can go in and collect an extra 50 Visiore for completing their hard quests. Now the downside to this is you only get 10 hard quests per day, which means you can collect up to 500 extra Visiore each and every day if you do a shard quest for 10 different units. Now, there's only so many units in the game, but you should be able to do this for about a week straight. We'll just call it 10 hard quests a day for a week straight, and we'll call it 3,500. All right, lastly, let's talk about character quests. And basically all you need to get access to a unit's character quest is have that unit at level 40, and it'll unlock this character quest, which you know by now it gives the unit their master ability, but it also gives us 50 Visiore and a few extra shards for that unit. So you should have enough XP cubes to basically take a lot of your MR or SR units to level 40, and I wouldn't recommend doing this with any of your UR characters because it's going to take rainbow spheres to go up to level 40. So go down to MR, SR, and rare units, and then you can take them to level 40 pretty easily. You should have enough shards to limit break them, and if not, then it's pretty easy to awaken them. The awakening cost is really low for 1 star to 2 star or 2 star to 3 star if you don't have the shards to go up to level 40. As you can see here, 7 fragments and 7 fires. It's pretty easy and pretty low barrier of entry to get a lot of your units to level 40, at least the lower rarity ones. So you can come in here and you can do character quests for a lot of your units. And I'm going to assume most people haven't done this. If you prepared for tower, maybe you leveled up a ton of different units and you only have a couple that aren't level 40 and that you haven't done the quests for. Like me, you can see I've done this for most of my characters. But most people, we're just going to say that you might have about 20 characters on your roster you can do this with. 50 Visiore piece, we'll call it an extra 1,000 Visiore. Lastly, as an added bonus about taking a lot of your units to level 40, you'll have these missions for awakening units and limit breaking units, and each of these missions can give you 200 Visiore. So if you go through all of your lower rarity units and you can spend some of your gold spheres and your silver spheres by limit breaking units, you're going to complete some of these missions. We'll say maybe you have access to 5 of these missions, and that can give you some extra Visiore as well. These are 200 apiece, and we'll call it about 1,000 that you can probably get by limit breaking and awakening lower rarity units. Anyway, as you can see on the Visiore counter, this is about 12,000 Visiore that you might have access to. Most people probably won't have access to this much, but you might have access to more if you've done none of these, and some people you might have access to less if you've already gone through and done all these missions or leveled up a lot of your units. It just kind of depends. And remember guys, you can only do this once. You can only complete all these missions one time, but if you're looking for that quick boost of Visiore for an event or a banner, kind of like the Final Fantasy Tactics banner coming up, it's a great place to look to get extra Visiore. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe for more War of the Visions content, and we'll see you next time.